Hello everyone, Cosmic Castaway here, and welcome to Let's Talk About, the show where I ramble on about various video game topics. And for today, we're going to be talking about something a little heavier than usual, and that subject is misogyny in video games. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is there was a segment in TED Talks a couple weeks ago that featured Ashley Judd talking about misogyny in the online community, particularly on Twitter and other online websites, and the abuse she's faced in those. So it was a very personal message she was giving. And at one point in her speech, she singled out video games and some video game developers. So I just wanted to show that clip here.
And more love for my friends in tech. Profiteering off misogyny in video games must end. I'm so tired of hearing you talk to me at cocktail parties, like you did a couple weeks ago in Aspen, about how deplorable #Gamergate was when you're still making billions of dollars off games that maim and dump women for sport. Basta, as the Italians would say. Enough.
Now again, to give context to this clip, she's not just talking about video games, but like Twitter and all sorts of other media outlets where she's just faced sexual abuse and harassment and misogyny from other anonymous people online, and she kind of just used the video games as an example. But ever since I've seen this clip, it's really been bothering me because I don't want to say that she was strongly misinformed, but it's just such a broad statement to make, and it hurts a little, you know, as someone who loves video games and has a big passion for them. They've brought so many cool things into my life, both among my friends and family, and just exploring these amazing places that all these video game developers have given us. Based on what she said, I'm assuming she's talking about games like Grand Theft Auto, and for the record, I'm not a big fan of the Grand Theft Auto series, but still, I feel the need to defend it a little bit here, in that that's not the objective of those games. The way she said it makes it sound like it is, but it's not. It's something that you can choose to do, and I don't choose that. I know the one time I played a Grand Theft Auto game, I accidentally ran over someone while I was driving along, and I felt like immeasurably guilty about it, and I'm like, I'm terrible at this. I cannot play these games. But that's a discussion for another time, some of my issues with the Grand Theft Auto series as a whole. But anyways, this series is popular among games, and it's one of the few that just kind of elevates into pop culture past the gaming community. So I can understand why she would use that as an example. But, and here's the big but, not every game is Grand Theft Auto. There are plenty and plenty of games out there that have strong representations of women, have strong female characters in them. In fact, many of my favorite games of all time have female protagonists, like, first and foremost, the Metroid series. Samus Aran is one of my all-time favorite characters, not just in video games, but in any form of entertainment. I adore Samus. I think she is amazing. Very strong character, very complex in some ways, and very recognizable, the two, and that's what I like about it. Like, you can instantly see her and say, oh, that's Samus, so anyway, she's one of my favorites. And there's loads of other great strong female characters like Chun-Li from Street Fighter. Some versions of Lara Croft have been very well written, and she's a particularly strong character in some of the various games in her franchise. And I admit, I actually like a lot of the female characters in the Resident Evil series better than the male cast, like Claire Redfield and Jill Valentine. I personally think they're above Leon Kennedy in terms of how much I like them, even though Leon's usually the fan favorite. And there's some lesser known ones, but ones that are very meaningful to me, like Shion Uzuki from the Xenosaga trilogy. I think she's a very strong character that goes through a very intense emotional journey, but at the end she comes out stronger for it. I could keep going on about my favorite female video game characters, but the point is, yes, it is true that some games out there do objectify women, like Duke Nukem is kind of notorious for that, so I'm not denying it doesn't exist. It does, and it does make me sad because I think women are every bit as cool and awesome as men are, and that's why I love the video games that that show that, and other titles like RPG games where you can play as male or female I think are great. I always preferred the female Shepard to the male Shepard in the Mass Effect trilogy, so while I do empathize with you, Ashley Judd, in everything you've gone through and the horrible, horrible things people have said to you, at the same time, I think your statement's a bit unfair, because there's plenty of great games out there featuring strong female characters. Yes, there are some games out there that don't do a great job of that, but for the most part, I would like to believe that there's just as many strong female characters in video games as there are male ones. They might not reach the same level as popularity as other titles, but they are there if you know where to look. So please know that the people saying these awful things, I would like to believe, are the vocal minority. They do not represent the gaming community as a whole, because there are so many of us that enjoy great stories, great characters, and we like strong male characters, and we love strong female characters. I would like to say it's a bit even, at least from my perspective it is. I'm pretty positive that there are more female developers in video game companies than there ever were before. Do I think they get mistreated sometimes? Yes, and I hope that will change. My great hope in terms of this subject is that relations will just improve in the years to come, and that we'll learn to love one another even more, because, to be honest, I really do hate some of the comments I read sometimes. The stuff like this, there's a lot of angry backlash. I think there's always going to be in some groups, but just look past that and realize that not everyone holds that viewpoint, and that gaming as a whole is not misogynistic. Because there, as I've said before, there are plenty of great female characters out there, and I'm sure we've got even more on the way. I'm excited to see what Aloy's adventure in Horizon Zero Dawn is. She looks like she could be a strong female protagonist, so I'm very excited for the future gaming characters, both male and female. And to kind of just sum up, yes, there is issues. There's issues, I think, in any form of entertainment in regards to this, but please know that video games in general, I like to believe, are not misogynistic, and they are well worth checking out. Because one of the reasons I've loved getting into video games is just sharing all the great experiences I've had with my friends and family, and quite a few of those friends are female, and several of them are gamers as well, so they enjoy a lot of games too, and I'm sure they have plenty of their favorite female protagonists of their own. Anyways, thank you for listening to my rant about this subject. I know it's a little more serious than stuff I normally cover, but it's been something that's been bugging me the past week or two, and I felt like I wanted to make a response to the statement she made, as well as some of the outcry from the gaming community over this. But if you have something to add to this topic, or something you wish to say, feel free to share in the comments below. I'd be happy to discuss it with you. So I promise things will be a little more upbeat for the next Let's Talk About episode. But until then, keep having great adventures, everyone.